Hi everyone, so Harvest League is starting today actually, and I just want to present you with a few builds that I just made on stream. So I just did like an entire few hours PoB session, and I created 5 builds. They are nothing really fancy, they're just like designed to, maybe give you some guidance of, what you can start out with. And yeah, I tried to use some of the new stuff, and then I tried some other like regular stuff that I just had like, flying around in my head, and this is the result. So those are the 5 builds. One is based around Earthshatter, which is a new skill, plus some war cries. It's a staff fire damage Templar. Then the other one is a Jugg that uses Earthquake with the General's Cry that summons some minions that use Earthquake too. So I think that's going to be quite interesting. We have a God Demon Hunter, so I tried to mimic what we're going to see in Season 21 with the Demon Hunter. So it's going to be a Cyclone, Castfire Channeling, Ice Spear build. And yeah, I think that could be quite similar to the playstyle. So you just like ward around and everything dies from some projectiles. So it's going to be quite interesting. I have a High-End Fury Raider. I don't really have any particular reason to use to make this one. I just made this because I saw it in patch notes and this got buffed a little bit. So I was like, let's do some lightning damage stuff and go zoom. So it's a very fast build. And here finally we have an Unleash Ice Storm Elementalist. So this is just like pretty much like a regular caster build with a twist that you can unleash a lot of this Ice Storm. So like massive blizzard and like AoE damage. So this is what I just made. I also have like a few other builds that I have here. For example, for Metamorph, I have my champion here. This was actually a rather effective build. So this was just quickly on the side here, but it was based around physical damage with Impale as a champion, and then Rain of Arrows and Barrage. So this was nothing really special, just like a regular arrow build. Also the one that I played in Delirium now, which was Doomflash Prism, Split Arrow, and Shrapnel Ballista. I was just experimenting here. This was not really strong, but it got me into the higher tiers, and I was able to defeat like tier 16 Elder Guardians and so on. But then I was running out of time because it was the end of Delirium, so I didn't really try more. Didn't optimize this in any way, I just blasted. But yeah, this is like something on the side. I can also add this, but I want to focus on those here. So let's go with the first one. The Inquisitor, and this is Earthshatter Warcry. So basically, I have Sunder as a placeholder right now because there is no Earthshatter yet in Power of Building. And the last link here would also be the Fist of War support, I believe it is. Yes. So this also doesn't exist yet. And otherwise, it's just like some new like this kind of slam archetype where you do like really big hits. So I'd rather slow attack speed. So yeah, this is not really great to do movement skills with, but we have dash in the setup. So yeah, with dash and second wind and a Quicksilver Flask, I think it's gonna be fine. And you can just like walk around a little bit, and otherwise dash to the next pack and kill that in like 1 or 2 hits, and then keep going. And the damage is rather high on this, I think, and it should pretty much one-shot all the trash and even yellows in most cases. We have a Herald of Ash here. We're linked with burning damage and less duration and increased AoE. I'm not exactly sure if less duration it works with this, otherwise I would just replace it with another DPS link. I just have to hope that it increases the total time of the buff and increases the DPS of it, but I don't know if this is actually the interaction here. Otherwise, probably can do something else there. So the items that I chose for this are nothing really crazy, so basically just random stuff as for most of the builds, because this is designed to be starter builds. So I just have like lots of yellow items with like random stats here. We have like mostly blue flask as well, and like these uniques also don't really do anything. They're just like decent, strong stated uniques. So you can just replace this with like any yellow item if you like as well. I just wanted to go with staff here, and I chose this one, which is like the only good DPS staff that you can find on uniques. And it has like the added advantage of giving you power charges as well, so that's pretty neat. And otherwise you can probably craft a much better one quite easily. The rest of the skill setup, we have 2 6-links, so obviously that's not going to happen right at the start, but yeah, you should go for the Earthshatter first, and then you have the Val Ancestral War Chief, which just to help you out a bit on the bosses. But otherwise you can just like dash around, walk around. You have Steel Skin, which I pretty much include in every build. Some other buffs like War Banner, Precision, and this is about it. So yeah, rather simple to play build, just like walk around and right click. We have only 5.5k life, which might seem a little bit low for a melee build, but I think this will be fine with like steel skin. You also have the enduring cry you can use for the endurance charges, and then there would also be the new war cry, which is the seismic cry. This one is also not here yet, so this would have to go here in like the last link, and then you can like swap between those two war cries to help you out a bit. Next up we have the Jugg. This one is going to be very tanky, I believe, because we actually went up to 6.7k life, and it's a Jugg which has lots of damage reduction anyway. It has endurance charges pretty much for free all the time. So overall a very tanky build, and I believe the damage here should also be quite fine. So this one is based around Earthquake. So you want to have a slow attack speed. We actually have less duration here, and with this we get this aftershock effect on every second attack for the big burst. So this is very similar to this Fist of War support basically, and probably plays rather similar too. So yeah, I just realized that after I actually made the build. So this is rather similar, but here we have like different scaling. So instead of going like full Avatar of Fire and Fire Damage and Herald of Ash and so on, I went with Impale. So we have this new keystone here, the Impaler, and lots of other Impale support on the tree that will just help us out a bit here with more damage on single target. I probably have too much Impale chance. You can probably reduce this, because the Impaler actually puts a cooldown on how often you can Impale. So I think you can get away with something like 50-60% Impale quite easily and still have it be very consistent. But yeah, we'll see. I just put the Crimson Dance here. I'm not really scaling bleed, but it seems like it would help me out a bit, because you do have these really heavy hitting attacks, and you do a little bit of bleed damage like this. And otherwise, it's just like stacking a lot of life here, endurance charges, a little bit of axe stuff. I didn't really go for axe specifically. I just put in Osiris Disfavor here as kind of like a decent two-handed physical damage weapon. As with the other build, you can just go with like pretty much anything that has a high damage value, and then you can like swap the tree accordingly to like mace or a staff or whatever you like. The cool part is here you have so much life because that's Cameron's heart. So I went with only one 6 link, and it looks like this. So we have the Wild Earthquake. We have this is placeholder. This is going to be the General's Cry, so it has to be in the 6 link. And then you can summon these Mirage Warriors from corpses, and they will use the Earthquake and do big damage. And otherwise it's like linked with lots of damage stuff here. And this is about it almost. So we have Blood Magic in this. So we also take Mortal Conviction. This means you can have only one aura. And you have the Supreme Ego for 50% more aura effectiveness. So with this you can have a really big Pride aura, which will give you 60% more physical damage. And this is going to be pretty nutty once you have this stacked up for 4 seconds. So when you're standing next to the boss, you should die pretty fast. So the way to get corpses on the boss is a spell totem with Unearth and GMP. So this will spawn you more than enough corpses. You can just use the Warcry whenever it's ready, and they will probably destroy the boss as well. And then you have like some Leap Slam action going here with Fortify, and otherwise, yeah, some cast when damage taken, vulnerability, nothing really crazy. Next is the Gold Demon Hunter. So as I said, this is going to be similar to what the Season 21 Demon Hunter set is going to be based around. So there's like Straving, and I kind of mimic this with Cyclone. So you basically hold down right click to channel this, and you move around with this. You have cards for channeling, Ice Spear, and then lots of projectiles. So there's Greater Volley. You can also do GMP. I didn't really know which one to take, so we'll have to see, but you can just swap it around. Lots of cold damage. We have a Herald of Ice that is like juiced up with a little bit of cold damage and penetration and so on. So it reserves quite a bit of mana. We have very little mana here, but it doesn't really matter because we barely spend any mana. So cycling costs like 5 mana or something. And this is nothing really of an issue. So you can just like cycle around, I think. And otherwise you can probably include like 1 ring with mana regen or something, and you'll be fine. So if that is ever becoming an issue, again we have like lots of gear with like only yellow stuff. I have a Queen of the Forest here because I wanted to get a bit of movement speed, and it's a nice high evasion armor, and you need a high evasion armor for the Escape Artist here. So the way this works is you want to have high evasion armor in the chest piece, and you want a high energy shield helm. And otherwise you also go like, hybrid life and energy shield. So you want to stack a bit of energy shield, a bit of life. So I just took like energy shield bases, rolled a bit of life, and this is what we came up with here: 3.5k life, 4.3k energy shield, with no crazy rolls at all. So this should be rather tanky. We also have these ghost shrouds that give you damage reduction. There's like dodge chance here and so on. So overall you also have like lots of evade chance. Yeah, this is what the tree looks like, and I took like lots of evasion as well to boost our movement speed a bit from Green of the Forest. Otherwise, life and energy shield. A few charges here because you get power and frenzy charges for free while you're channeling stuff because of Swift Killer, so this is pretty neat. And then the rest is just like damage and crit and expel damage and so on. And we have the energy shield leech here for the cold damage. Yeah, so I think this build is going to be quite fun. For my taste, probably a little bit too little movement speed, but I think this can be solved if you throw a little bit more currency on it. Also, what's not included here, for example, is Onslaught or this elusive effect, which also gives you some movement speed. So I think it will be fine. You can go quite zoomy with this, and I think the damage should definitely be there. This is just, I think this is not even accurate here, the DPS, because I don't think this counts the amount of procs that you actually do. You get like 3 procs per second or so. So if all the projectiles hit the target, you can do a couple million DPS probably. So pretty neat. Here we have the Hion's Fury Raider, so this is nothing really special, just a really fast build. So if you want to go to maps really fast and go through the low tiers really fast, then this is probably a nice build. So it's Raider, it's based around like lots of evasion, lots of speed, frenzy charges and so on. So we actually have 8 frenzy charges here. And I took the Dark Ray Vectors because there's another frenzy charge and it gives you 5% movement speed per frenzy charge. So it's 40% movement speed boost. You get lots of dodge here as well, which is nice. And we have Impulsor. So I'm not sure exactly how easy it is to get an Impulsor early on, but I think it's not really that expensive anymore. And with all the lightning damage going on, it will be very easy to shock a target, and then you get these nice explosions, so you can just like zoom around, and it's going to be quite amazing, I believe. So we have a Whirring Blade setup for movement with fast attacks, Innovate to give us extra lightning damage, and Rage. And with Rage you get even more movement speed and so on. And then you have the Lightning Strike setup here, which is our 6th link. So you can use Wild Lightning Strike on the boss for some extra damage. Otherwise you just right click stuff to death. And with Impulsor explosions going off, it should have pretty nice clear as well. I actually have to fortify in the main link here because on some boss fights you might not want to whirl around and you just have a bit of less damage here, but you can keep attacking all the time. Obviously this can be changed if you like. And otherwise, yeah, this is probably a pretty decent setup as well, I believe. Here's a Valence Cecil War Chief. It's just for some support. You don't really need the main because you're not really doing physical damage. It's just there just because. And yeah, Herald of Thunder for a little bit of extra lightning damage. Wrath for a little bit of extra lightning damage. And then the typical like Val Grace, Steel Skin defensive setup here. And the castle damage taken setup that gives us the power charges when we made in the maps at least. And here's an Enduring Cry for the endurance charges as well. And like this you can have all 3 charges. Power charge is not really on the boss, so it is a bit of a bummer. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, you get at least the defense and the big frenzy charges that will help you out a lot here. Yeah, and the tree looks like this here. So we have like some of the shadow area with the crit and so on. I try to scale crit a little bit. It's kind of hard, but with better gear you can definitely go much higher. I guess something like 70% or so is very doable, even though you have only a base crit of 5% on a weapon. And then otherwise you have the Siren Life Wheel, and we went through this duelist area here and the radar area. Yeah, so this is about it. Nothing really crazy. So this can definitely be optimized a lot, I believe, especially when it's to start including cluster jewels here. And finally we have the Unleash Ice Storm Elementalist. So this looks like this. You need this staff because this gives you the Ice Storm, but theoretically you can also do Firestorm if you like. It's pretty much the same thing, -1 link. But this staff shouldn't really cost anything, and the good thing is you don't need to have it linked. So you can go no links at all, and every support skill that you socket into it will link to this Ice Storm skill automatically. So this should be extremely cheap. And it doesn't even have any other high links. So we have a Herald of Ice here, which is a 5 link, but it doesn't have to be. This is just, another like juiced up Herald that will destroy stuff for you, especially for AoE. in on the trash pulls. And otherwise you go with Ice Storm, and we have double unleash here. So the idea is that you can get 4 seals for each of these unleashes. So you actually have the skill on the bar twice, and you can use them, in tandem. So you do one first, and you do the other one, and then but in the meantime, the other one will already recharge to like 2 or 3 seals, and maybe everything's dead, and you have to move anyway. So all of them will recharge until you hit the next pack. And there's like some increased seal gain frequency here somewhere, and also like this +1 maximum number of seals. So this will help you out here as well. And you do lots of damage with this setup basically, and you can blast down bosses really fast. The damage looks really weak here, 20k average, but this is like just one hit out of like 40 or so that come from a single cast, and with Unleash you do 4 times that amount. So you have like 160 projectiles or so every time you cast, and it really adds up. And the reason why you get so many is because of the increased skill effect duration. So we took this cluster here and this as well for lots of duration, and otherwise we use this scale a little bit of like life and energy shield. So that's like a hybrid build again. And maybe later on you can transition into full energy shield as well. But for the start, it's kind of hard to do this. So the tree would look a little bit different once you go like full energy shield. You'll probably go with like more stuff like this, Unnatural Calm here, which gives you lots of energy shield. You can fill out this cluster as well, and then later on, once you have the gear, you can transition. But yeah, otherwise this is just like lots of spell crit, spell damage, stuff, staff crit and so on, because you're wielding a staff, and nothing really crazy otherwise. Yeah, and the rest of the setup, we have a flame dash with Cull, with faster casting. There's a decoy totem. We have lots of golems actually, because it's an Elementalist. So nothing here is really crazy, but you can take this. You can also swap around this Paragon of Calamity, especially once you go full energy shield. I would definitely do this. So I mainly took this for the damage leech as life, but later on I would definitely go with Elemancer, because it gives you another golem, and then you can go with a helm that has a crafted trigger socketed spells when you focus. So you can just press focus and you will trigger all your golems if you have them in a helm. And this is actually pretty neat. So you also have here +1 maximum number of golems. So for starters, I have just a cast and damage taken setup, so you don't have to do it manually, and this should definitely be fine. And then later on you can do this setup that I just described, and this will help you out. Yeah. Otherwise, here's another cast and damage taken, Frost Bomb, Frostbite, Steel Skin. We don't need to increase the duration here because you have so much on the tree. And this is about it here. Yeah, so this is it for the setups that I have in store, and I'm gonna link all the PoBs in the description. Also, I have the link to how to set up Power Building, so you need this program to actually view those builds. So the way to do this, if you don't know, you have to go to import after starting it and updating it and so on. This button here, and then you have to import with Pastebin, and then you just put this link there that I have in the description. So this is how this works. There is also a link to a Reddit thread where you can set this up. It's not really difficult, so you have to download it and then you have to update it, and this will be fine. And I hope this gave you some ideas, maybe to do something of your own, or maybe you like something that I made here, and you can go with that. And I haven't decided really what I will go with. It might be one of the Slam characters, or it might be the God DH. I don't know. We'll see. And otherwise, hope you like this, and I'll see you guys next time.